So, good morning or good night, depending on where you are in the world, and welcome to a new episode of Is It That Bad? Where we take a look at an album that maybe got mixed reviews and, we take a look at it, we listen to the album again, and we determine, was it really that bad or was it, misjudged? And we picked this album. Obviously, the artist from this he's being in the news, and but we don't need. I already did like a mini video for this, and I actually love this band. I've been a fan since the 90s. So we're talking about the Foo Fighters, and the album that we picked is Medicine at Midnight. It came. When this it came out?
February of 2021.
February of 2021, and I actually bought this one on vinyl because there was a record store release, and I bought it, and then I listened to the single, Shame, and I was like, what is this single? So I was looking online, and yes, this album got very mixed reviews, but for me, I gotta be out of the bat. For me, at this point in their career, they hadn't released an album that I truly, truly love since Wasting Light, which I think is a classic record, because then they had the Sonic Highways, which was okay. There were some cool tracks, but I felt like it was more of that HBO documentary series. Then after that one, I remember they released an EP, Saint Cecilia, that I enjoyed, and Concrete, is it Concrete and Gold? Concrete and Gold.
Concrete and Gold.
Yeah, I love The Wrong, but besides that, and a few songs, I thought it was also middle of the road. And then they had this album. When they were going to release this album, they said that this was like their disco, like dancey type of record. And then their first single is Shame, and I'm like, this doesn't sound like anything, like, at least I always thought that Shame was like a weird single. Like, who the hell picked that as the first single? I would have picked another song, but that was like a very atrocious single to put, like really off the bat, that's what you're promoting. So it was weird for me. So yeah, this is an I gotta say, their last album was my album of the year last year.
But here we are.
But here we are. To me, was a return to form, their best album since Wasting Light. So that was my album of the year. So, yeah, I even saw some of the reviews had some funny stuff that I'll mention later. So, for this episode, I'm joined again by Emery, Rock of All Ages, and Nick Zeno. So how are you guys tonight?
Good. Doing great. Excited to talk about this.
Yes.
Yeah. So let's start today. Let's start with Emery, then Rock of All Ages, Nick, and then me. So I forgot the rounds. Okay. Is it that bad? You know the drill, people. We have the 3 rounds. The first round, we give our first impressions when we first listen to this record. Then the second round, we give 3 songs that we think are the weakest and why. And the third and final round, we vote last impressions, and we get a thumbs up, thumbs sideways, or thumbs down. So those are the rules. So Emery, your first impressions with Medicine at Midnight.
So I actually quite enjoyed this. I'll say on my first listen through, some of them, there were a couple that felt kind of generic, but the guitar work and the drums were still really good, and I just love a good guitar solo. Like if a song has a good guitar solo on it, it goes up a little bit in my book. So I was quite enjoying most of this, which might not be the case for everybody else, but I had quite a good time listening to this album.
Yeah. Nice. So what about you, Rock of All Ages?
Right. So in 2021, a little bit after this album came out, they did, for Record Store Day, something called DGs.
Oh, it's shiny.
Yes. So the premise is the first half of this is them covering some Bee Gees songs, you know, their disco classics. And then the second half is them doing live performances of some of the songs from Medicine at Midnight. And also, incidentally, the album comes with this photo of the band.
Nice.
So we
That's a
got,
cool photo.
yeah, Taylor Hawkins, rest in peace. Dave Grohl, you're dead to me. As for
He
Medicine
didn't
at
shit on
Midnight-
you, man.
No, but I mean, come
He
on.
cheated on all of us.
Yeah. That's a good way of putting it. So when I mentioned this in the Green Day episode. I had a writing project in like 2019 where I reviewed every album that was nominated for Album of the Year Grammy. And for Foo Fighters, that included 2 albums, Echo, Silence, Patience, and Grace, and Wasting Light, which I know they're very celebrated albums, but I didn't really love them.
Please don't
but
tell
then-
me you like this more than Wasting Light.
Hold on. So
Hector was grabbing a pitchfork real quick.
I also had another writing project where, so my channel is dedicated to talking about Billboard's mainstream rock radio airplay chart. And I had another writing project where I went through every #1 hit from 1981 to present day, which included several songs from Foo Fighters. And Medicine at Midnight was the first new album that came out since I started that. And I do remember the reception being very mixed at the time, especially for Shame Shame. I kind of dug the song. I liked what they were doing on there, but it is very different from everything they had done up to that point. Like even on the previous album, Run, the song that you mentioned, that is a top tier Foo Fighters song. This album, it is dancier than everything they made up to that point, and I do. Well, I mean, obviously, because they did the Bee Gees thing.
Yeah.
I do respect what they were doing, and I did overall like this album, but I am not going to die on this hill. Hector, you can put down your pitchfork.
Okay. So what about you, Nick? Your first impressions when you listen to this? You actually bought it just like me.
Yeah, no, I got it on record here too. Yeah. I would die on this hill for this record because I actually, for me, like I do actually agree with everybody saying that Shame Shame is a really weak single, because when that song came out, I was like, what is this? Because there are so many better
sucks.
songs on here. Like Making a Fire would have been a much better first single that would have gotten me much more excited for the record. Foo Fighters, to me, like I know I have a reputation for talking about Oasis all the time, but Foo Fighters for me are like up there as well. They're one of my top tier, like top 5 favorite bands of all time. For me, this was the return to form for them, because I thought that the previous album, Concrete and Gold, was like by far their weakest album and worst album that they put out. Run, of course, is a great song, but I think the rest of the album is a little bit subpar, and the production on that record really bothered me because it just felt so harsh when I was listening to it. And then Sonic Highways was a little bit of a disappointment for me as well, because I felt like the documentary was cool, but the music felt a little bit forced and didn't really feel quite like their best material. So this one for me was the best album since Wasting Light. Also, the last Foo Fighters record featured the late great Taylor Hawkins on drums. So I think kind of after it came out and he passed away, it gave this album a little bit of an extra special feel to me, because it's the last one that features him. And I always found it kind of odd or strange that the last song on this record was called "Love Dies Young."
Yeah.
And just, you know, the music video for the song is really goofy. I don't know if you've seen it with the swimmers, with the Foo Fighters with their faces pasted on the swimmers. That's it's a great video. But I thought this was like I thought this was like really a good return to form. It features some great Foos rockers on there. Making a Fire, I think, is great. No Son of Mine, Holding Poison, and like for me, like I love But Here We Are too, the follow up to this. But to me, it was so sad. It's not a record I go back to listening to a lot, because it's just everything is so sad on that. It's great, but it's sad. So I think I go back to this one a little bit more because it's the last time the Foo Fighters were kind of the Foo Fighters as we knew and loved them at the time. So I'm gonna die on the hill for this one, that I really do enjoy this album.
Nice. So I bought this when it came out, I thought it sucked back then, and I still think it sucks now. There's a few tracks that I enjoy, but like I don't know, like it's felt it's a short record. It felt it's a very generic record to me. Like there's some of the worst. There's some lyrics here that are so bad to me, and I don't know that. Yeah, its production sound. It sounds great, and it won a ton of fucking Grammys. But so does Bad Bunny, and a lot of crap music wins Grammys. Winning a Grammy doesn't mean shit, people. Like there's a lot of
I
stuff
do
that
kind of
win
like Bad
Grammys.
Bunny, but yeah, Grammys don't really mean much.
Yeah, Grammys don't mean shit, people. Like you could win a Grammy and still suck. And I think Foo Fighters right now they just keep it can say Foo Fighters and they'll get a Grammy because the Grammys are so outdated. There's some other rock bands, people, but yeah, I actually bought this when it came out, and I bought it, and then I heard Shame Shame, and I was like, yeah, that was weird. So, but I hadn't re-listened to this album until today with fresh ears because I had it in my mind already that it sucked. And I was just like, I was like, no, this album sucks. It will forever suck. But there's some good stuff in it. So I might, I'll say more good stuff as we go on to the round. So let's go to round two, where we pick maybe the three songs that we think are the weakest. So Emery, which tracks did you pick and why?
All right, so let me pull my notes up real quick. So here we go. So sorry, Nick, I did not enjoy Making a Fire. It just felt it felt generic to me. A little na bit is catchy, but it wasn't as soulful as I really wanted it to be, and it just kind of made the track feel like not necessarily lifeless, but it didn't really add to the track a lot. Like it didn't really add much to the track. So it was kind of generic feeling. I still enjoyed it. I'd give it like a 3 out of 5, but it wasn't great. I will say I generally enjoyed this album. So the 3 songs that I'm gonna put, I still liked them. It's just there were a few things about them that I wasn't a fan of. So Making a Fire would be the first one I'd put on here, and then Medicine at Midnight title track. It was kind of groovy and I quite enjoyed it. But yeah, but it was also just I don't know. This one just felt kind of off to me. Like it just wasn't quite. I'm trying to see if I don't know. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the lyrics and stuff, but there was just something about it that it just wasn't. It didn't hit me as hard as the other songs. I think this one wasn't. I'm much more of a fan of the ones with like the harder vocals and like the harsher drums and guitars and stuff. So I think that's why this one didn't hit me quite as hard. And then same with the next one I had for my bottom 3, which was Chasing Birds, which I still quite enjoyed. But
you picked Chasing Birds.
Yeah,
Your
that should be
birds are not
favorite song.
agreeing with you. It's
I
like,
love birds. Listen, I love my birds. But like, I don't know. I love this one. Also, I don't know. I was kind of tired as I was listening to this. So like, maybe it's because it was near the end of the album and I was getting kind of sleepy. So I was like starting to fall asleep to this one. But again, I still enjoyed it. I think it's just, I'm more of a fan of the more upbeat songs.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I still love the lyrics on this one. I'm a sleepy boy.
okay. So those are the 3 tracks for Emery. What about you, Rock of All Ages?
I had written down for Chasing Birds that it Beatle-esque. Doesn't it sound
yeah.
like?
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, but
Like
that was not.
I don't know, like Strawberry Fields Forever kind of vibe, maybe.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah.
So that was not one of my bottom 3. Like Emery said, I liked all the songs that I picked for my bottom 3, but something has to be there. Apologies to Nick. I did pick Holding Poison. I also picked Cloud Spotter, although I did kind of get a kick out of the Purple Haze reference.
Oh yeah.
And then the last song, Shame Shame, which I feel bad about because I don't dislike the song, but it is. My thought is that like they released it in like late 2020. We're still in lockdowns. Everyone's miserable. And maybe they thought the song reflected that. That's my best guess. But I mean, there is a lot better on the album, though.
Yeah. Solid picks. What about you, Nick?
For me, I only have a two that I didn't really like on this record. There's only 9 songs on it, which is kind of an odd number for an album. I know a
Thank
lot of
God.
older albums from back in the day maybe have only 8 or 9 songs, but really would have killed them to put one more song, make it a nice round 10 songs. I'm sure they could have done that no problem. Shame, Shame. Yeah, this is the weakest track for me on the entire album. I think the thing with this song is that the Foo Fighters think they're doing something really cool and really profound, like, ooh, look at us, we're doing this weird song, Shame, Shame. But it really is just a weak choice and such a weird choice for a first single from the album. There's a Love
This
Dies
was
Young.
the lead single?
Yeah, it's
Oh
the
yeah,
That
Shame
was the
Shame was the
lead
first
single.
single.
Why? I think
Yeah.
you've said that before. That's just now just clicking in my head. Why
That
was that
was
the
the
lead
lead
single?
single.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
And you
that's
know,
so
right now with
No,
that
that's
song,
so
that's
wrong.
the song that his wife sings to him. He's like, shame, shame.
Interestingly, his oldest daughter Violet sings backing vocals on that.
Yeah.
So she's like, shame,
Shame,
Father,
Dad.
sorry to
shame
interrupt,
you,
Nick. That's
Dave Grohl.
now just clicking for me that this was the lead single.
Yeah.
I
Very
know.
weak
So
single.
weird.
Like, who the hell vetoed this? Like, really? That's not a lead single. That's like a B-side rarity
Mhm.
that you don't want to listen to. Go on, Nick.
Well, no, I think with Shame, Shame, I think a lot of bands have done that. I'm trying to think of some other examples, but with some bands, especially ones that, the Chili Peppers pops to mind with bands when they get into later in their careers and they're putting out a first single, they tend to go with something that's a little bit less conventional.
Oh, the
because
Chili
they wanna
Peppers
see-
have sucked for years too.
Well, I like the Chili Peppers, but Dark Necessity was a weird. Anyway,
It's so
weird first
funny. I
single,
was
yeah.
just thinking of Chili Peppers, but I was thinking like one of their albums from 2022 had Black Summer, and that was like
that was a
standard Chili
weird
Peppers
single.
stuff.
Yeah, exactly. It's like
We
there
gotta
are better
cover the
songs.
Chili Peppers on this channel.
I'm looking forward to that already.
For
Yeah.
maybe, you know what? Well, One Hot Minute would be an interesting one because it
That
got a
album was
lot of
actually
like mixed
good, but
reviews.
yeah, we
Yeah.
could. Anyway, Nick.
Yeah, no, and then Waiting on a War, also another single from this record that I don't really enjoy. It's one of the cheesier songs from the Foo Fighters. I think that Dave Grohl is still a really strong songwriter in general, but that is one of the weakest songs that he's written in the last decade or so. So that's definitely not one of my favorites. But again, I like the rest of it. So I only have 2 songs that I didn't really like on this.
Okay, so you picked 2 songs. So can I pick 4 since you picked 2?
Sure.
Okay, I'm gonna pick 4 because so
That's half the record.
shame to me is obviously an
You can't
appropriate.
tell him what to do.
Yeah, it's this is my channel, Nick. like I'm gonna throw on an AC's track too. So
No.
shame is just a weird. I don't know why they picked that as a lead off single. It's just a very bad track, and it's just so uneventful. It's like shame. I'm like, isn't this supposed to be like a party? Because I'm like, this is the most boring party ever. So yeah, awful song. I think Chasing Birds is the track that is playing where you're getting a colonoscopy.
Ooh.
That's what it's going to be playing. It's a bad ripoff of the Beatles. And you know what? I think the Beatles are okay, but I don't worship the Beatles. Like I'm not a Beatle worshiper, and I think that this is just like a boring song, and it put me to sleep just like it did Emery. And when a song puts you to sleep, you gotta say it's not good. It's just boring. It's a very boring track. So there you have my second one. Medicine at Midnight is just I don't know, it's Medicine at Midnight. I don't know, it's just like a very generic crappy lyrics, and it doesn't do it for me. And the other one that I would pick, I think I would pick Making a Fire as well. I think Making a Fire, those na 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 na, I hate the na na nas.
Yeah.
No na na nas. The last
Me
time that a song
too.
had a na na na, it was My Chemical Romance in 2010. They had a song that went na 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 na. Shut up. No na na. So I thought it's very corny and generic. To me, the only song that I really like of this album is No Son of Mine. That's the only song that I would say that is good. The other ones, throw them in the trash.
Even Love Dies Young?
I don't like that song either.
Oh.
It's okay. It's okay. But I think No Son of Mine is the only song that I would say from this record that I truly enjoy. So yeah, there you have it. I picked almost the entire record. So let's go to round 3 where we get our final thoughts and our rating. So Emery, your final thoughts on Medicine
We're
at
not get
Midnight.
to talk about which songs we like. We're just going to talk about the bad songs.
Oh no, you can. This is what the first round is for. Like remember, you can say what you liked about it, and then you vote.
Okay. So, seemingly unpopular opinion, I kind of enjoyed Shame Shame. I agreed that it's a weird pick for the lead single, but I kind of enjoyed it. I really liked the weird percussion things that were happening on the intro. And I liked the part where they layered like the first verse with the shame, shame bit. So I actually kind of enjoyed that one. And then someone also said they didn't like Cloud Spotter, but I really enjoyed Cloud Spotter as well.
That was me. That was me.
Okay, yeah, I liked that one. And then Waiting on a War was my favorite on the album. I loved that one. Everyone's just shitting on all the songs that I liked, which is fine. That's what this series is for. But you know, I liked Waiting on a War. I really liked like the contemplative tone, and yes, it's cheesy as hell, but like sorry, now I'm thinking like not as cheesy as Leather Jackets, and I don't think there was any cocaine in that cheese. But anyway,
the outro was great though. On Waiting on a War.
The outro is very good, yeah. And I don't know, I enjoyed that like tempo change, instrumentation change. That it kind of felt like I don't know how the first part was like talking about how like it's kind of depressing, but it's very pretty sounding. Where it's just kind of talking about like figuring out that there's more to life than what you've like been told as a child most of your life and what people are telling you to do. And I feel like the end is kind of like the narrator figuring out like who he is and what he wants to do with the tempo and instrument change. So I think that one was my favorite and I quite enjoyed it. It was a bit of a tonal whiplash in Cloud Spotter, but like I'd say that was my favorite. So overall, I really enjoyed this. Is this the part with the thumbs now?
Yeah.
Give our final. Yeah, I would give this one a thumbs up. I quite enjoyed this album. It was a lot of fun. Again, yeah, some of the lyrics and stuff were kind of generic, but it was still a pretty good time overall.
Okay, so we got our first thumbs up. Now, Rock of All Ages, your final thoughts and rating?
I'll start by saying, I think we mentioned this a couple of days ago, the horror comedy that the band made in 2022. Love Dies Young plays over the end credits. So it kind of feels like the song to cap off the life of Taylor Hawkins to me. But also, I was driving home last night and Rape Me by Nirvana came on the radio. And then I changed stations and All Apologies was playing. Relatedly, oh my God, In Utero is like 30 years old now. But
31 this year.
Yeah, but it got me thinking, Nirvana was a much darker band than Foo Fighters turned out to be. And it also made me wonder, like, would Nirvana be going in this direction if they were still around?
No.
One can only imagine. But
all we have is speculation on that.
Yes, speculation. As for this album, I do understand wanting to, like branch out and try new things, which feels like what they were trying to do with the dancier direction. And I do like how it turned out. I acknowledge that this is not the Foo Fighters at their peak. Like, yeah, everyone says the color and the shape and Wasting Light are like the best. That said, I will still give this album a thumbs up with the disclaimer that you probably shouldn't make it your first. Check out, I would recommend All My Life before checking out this, just like give you some idea of where the band started out. But I know Hector's going to disagree.
All My Life? No, start with the first record.
Oh, the self-titled?
Yes.
Yeah, that works too.
Yeah. Yeah. So we have our first 2 thumbs up. So Nick, your final thoughts and rating?
Yeah, I would say anything from the first record up to In Your Honor is like essential Foo Fighters. For me, the third record, There's Nothing Left to Lose, is my personal favorite record. After those first 5 records, they kind of hit pillars for me. It's like from In Your Honor, Echoes is okay, to Wasting Light is like the next really great one. And then to me, like this is the next kind of signpost that you'd want to hit on the Foo Fighters discography. And I think this record is still really solid. I don't think it's their best record by any means, but for some bands that we talk about on this series, when they get on to, what is this, album number 8, 9, 10, whatever, they definitely lose a little bit of their edge. But I think the Foo Fighters have kept that edge for the most part. They're still, again, it's not going to be as essential as those first few records, but it's still really, really solid music. And I think Dave Grohl, despite all the controversy, is still a really good songwriter on this record. And I think there are some really good songs on here. I do like Spotter. That's a good one. I like pretty much everything. Medicine at Midnight, I think, is a funky little track. If you're cruising around at night, you put that one on, make you feel a little extra cool as you're cruising around. And everything else on here as well. Love Dies Young, I think, that should have been the first single. I think that would have been a lot cooler than Shame. But for me, I'm gonna give this album a definite thumbs up. So I don't know, Hector, you're looking like we're
I don't give a shit what you
you
all said. I'm giving it a thumbs down.
This is his channel.
So yeah, I'll give it 2 thumbs down. No, I'm kidding.
You're still outvoted.
Yeah, I'm still outvoted. To me,
You only have 2 thumbs.
Yeah, this is I'll use my thumbs from my feet. To me, this is a very generic, bland record, and I'm not the only one to say so. I read some reviews where they were saying that these are the songs that they play when you need to go to the bathroom and take a leak at a show. I'm like, yep, I agree. These are, when they play these songs, I'll go to the bathroom.
The intermission songs.
Yeah, they're intermission songs. I think, Cloud Spotter has it's like, it has a fun thing, but I think this is just it's so generic, and the lyrics are so like that I can't give this album a thumbs up. I have a copy of it. Like, if anyone wants it, I'll send it to them.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
I'll have to see if it's worth money. But I have it, but I hardly played it. Like, I think No Son of Mine is my favorite track. But the good thing is that it's a short record. And I get it. They were trying to be dancier, but no, I just don't think this is a good record, and I can't wait to not listen to it again. So, but yeah, I'm just one man, so this album is saved. I should have got more people. Like,
you know what you should listen to instead? Listen to the DG's album instead.
The DG's album
one
instead.
thing I forgot real quick before we go is put your 2 sense where the sun don't shine is a great line from
Yeah.
Cloud Spotter. That's just hilarious, and I wanted to make sure that's what it sounds like Hector is doing right now. Is like everyone else can shove it. This album sucks.
No, I don't. I really don't like it. And I went. I hadn't listened to it in a while, and I'm like, and I listened to it today. Well, I thought it sucked back then. I still think it sucks now. I don't know. It's just, to me. If there was like a Foo Fighters like tier list, this would be almost at the, I think, at the bottom for me. I know All My Life is an album that gets like, it's not that great, but it has times like this and All My Life. I love those two tracks.
And what's
And
the song?
even
Isn't there a
I
song
can
on there
say-
with Brian May?
Oh,
Which
Tired of
one?
You.
Yeah.
Tired of You.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is just an album. I don't love it. This is an album that I don't love, even though I don't know Son of Mine. I think it's okay, but I don't love any track on this record. Like it's not. I don't go back to it. So yeah, to me, when they released their last record, that's why it was my album of the year. It was a great comeback, and they had some experimentation. It was done right. So to me, this album is shame on you, Dave Grohl. It's the second
Cue
worst
the Game
thing
of
you
Thrones
did.
clip.
You saw the second worst thing that he did. Besides what, but you know what? But I still love the Foo Fighters. But this album, I think it was if I that year I didn't have. Oh yes, that year I started a channel, and this one in my top 5 of bad albums of the year. So yeah. So there you go. The album is saved, not by me, but everyone else voted. So since this is a democracy, I must abide by the rules of the game. So this album is saved. So it doesn't go in the trash can. So it's not that bad.
It doesn't have to be a
Well-
democracy.
I mean, yes, but for them, no. But we want to know from you, Couchers, what do you think of Medicine at Midnight by Foo Fighters? Would you get a thumbs up, thumbs sideways, thumbs down? Comment down below. And coming up next for Is It That Bad? I put a poll, and we're gonna talk about Imagine Dragons. I put like if you do you want me to cover Imagine Dragons and Is It That Bad? And I got a outstanding.
I wouldn't wish that on you.
I put 85% said yes, we gotta cover
Oh,
Imagine
man.
Dragons.
I'm
And
so
then-
sorry, man.
My friend Robert, our friend Robert told me, hey, they put out a new record this year. I'm like, that's the one we're picking, because I'm sure that each one is equally bad. So we're gonna talk about the new album by Imagine Dragons. I just remember that Radioactive song. I remember listening to this and I felt like, oh my God, this makes Coldplay and Nickelback look good.
I do have to say, I listened to the latest Imagine Dragon album's lead single, Eyes Closed, and I expected it to be bad, but I was still surprised how awful it was.
Your expectations were on the floor and you were still disappointed.
Exactly.
So yeah, but I'm gonna go in blind, and that's gonna be the next episode. I don't know who's gonna join me on that one, but I'll probably take Nick.
Sure.
So he
Sorry,
can,
Nick.
yeah, like I don't know who's gonna be. Maybe I don't think I would put JC. JC would be like, please do not include me on this one. But we'll get a
I
panel
mean, if
for
you
that.
need people, I'm here. I don't
Yes.
like it, but like if you can't find anyone else, I mean, I'll do it.
Like who wants to listen to Imagine Dragons? Because yeah. And so, and I have ideas for albums that we're gonna cover. So we can cover One Hot Minute by Red Hot Chili Peppers at one moment, because that was an album that was divisive. And like
I know I
we should-
suggested a couple, but I'll let you do yours first.
yeah, we should do a Jane's Addiction album, since there's
Oh, wow. That would be
There-
it.
yeah, obviously not the classic ones, but I think the later stuff from their catalog, we could pick an album for that. And we have some newer albums. I'll be talking about the Offspring album when it comes out.
Mhm.
And I think there's the new Skillet record. We'll cover this in this series.
The-
So
the
yeah, we
what-
have
the
some
what?
the new Skillet album. It's coming out in
Oh
November
God! Why would you do that to yourself?
because because someone's got to do it, man.
Does it have to be
He
you?
does it so we don't have to.
It has to be me.
I'm down to listen to Skillet.
I provide a service. So probably Skillet will be usually in November. We do our last episode of Is It That Bad? Then we wait to the new year. We give it a break. But yeah, those are anyone else. If someone has comments on albums they like us to cover, comment down below on which one we should do. I think there's a new Coldplay record. So maybe
Yeah,
that
coming
one.
out.
Mhm.
When is that coming out?
Like 2 or
Um,
3 weeks. First week of October.
Oh, yeah,
First
that
week
sounds
of-
right.
Oh, so we're gonna cover Coldplay too. Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, even though I gotta say I love the first 3 records from Coldplay. After that, it's been hit and miss for me, but the first 3 records they're really good. So yeah, so I want to thank obviously my guest for this. Is It That Bad, Emery? When can they? You're on Twitch. And you
Yeah,
stream.
I stream sporadically on Twitch every once in a while. Eclair314. I play Sims and various other games. And I feature my birds on my channel. I've got 6 budgies. So come say hi if you want.
Yeah. So go say hi to her. And Rock of All Ages, he's got
Mhm.
the channel with the podcast.
Yeah.
Very interesting stuff. So subscribe to him. And finally, Nick Sino. He does rock albums, reviews. You reviewed the last album by Snow Patrol this week.
Yep.
Yeah.
It was a good album. Yeah, it's not bad.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. Yeah, I enjoyed it. I
If
remember
if I may advertise for a bit, I have a video coming up in a couple of days about Blue Oyster
Yes.
Cult.
Nice.
about the who?
Blue Oyster Cult.
Oh, I thought you said oysters. I'm like, well, okay.
No.
You're branching out into food.
I'm a food channel now.
Make oysters while
Yes.
listening to Blue Oyster Cult.
Yeah.
That's a good one. And finally, obviously, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, I have album reviews, interviews. Is It That Bad? And for next year, we gotta do that series that I said that we do for next year. We gotta start the new series called Should Have Been Bigger, where we can talk about a band that maybe wasn't as big, and we can that's an idea that I'm having, and we haven't done it, but I'm guessing at this
I've
moment.
got
we'll
ideas
do-
for that.
Yeah,
I
we'll do
have
that
one right
series
off the bat.
for next year, like because it would be a good one to just like take a band and talk about that band and maybe say like, hey, they should have been bigger, or like, yeah, I'm glad they weren't, or something like that. So please subscribe to my channel. And coming up next week on my channel, I got tons of interviews, and I got some new album reviews for what's coming up next on the channel.
The
Album
Cure?
reviews.
Doesn't The
The
Cure have an
Cure-
album coming up?
The Cure apparently has an album, but obviously that's not gonna be an Easy That Bad. But I'll talk about
I hope not.
no. I'll talk about The Cure. But also, I remember next week I'm gonna talk about the new Black Dahlia Murder record, which I already listened to. So that will be like a new album that I will review next week. So yeah, thank you for tuning in to another episode of Is It That Bad, where we listen to an album so you don't have to. So until next time, this is Hector, the Shield Dude on a couch, and I'll see you all right here on the couch.